Hey friends, Powwow Guy Rob Phoenix here. Just popping in to say hi. Forgive, I did not get a haircut. My hair is just soaking wet. I just got out of the shower. Anyway, I kind of want to talk to you guys about let's go back in time a little bit. Back in like 1989, 90, 91, that sort of trilogy. Um, I was young. I was in my late teen years. I was kind of coming into myself and I was really like interested in magic and religion. And, I was questioning everything as you do at that age. And so I had found this circle of friends who were like weird, like I was. And it was kind of a cool time because, you know, we, we were like literally called the weirdos. But we questioned authority and we just thought, we'd go to punk rock shows every Wednesday at the community center. We, we all read the vampire books together, interviewed the vampire books together and discussed it. We were, just really into all that sort of thing, but we felt we had something to say to the world. And so what we were doing then, we were making these things called zines. If anybody's my age, I'll be 51 this year, then you probably know what a zine is if you're part of like the alternative community or whatever. A zine was basically just like a homemade magazine, like a small booklet that we would like, basically we got plain white paper and pasted all these like magazine cutouts and newspaper cutouts and like bits of our poetry and articles. And it was our way of like putting something out into the world. And then we would make all these photocopies of it at the public library and hand them out to people at our punk shows. Not our punk shows, the punk shows we would go to. We would have sleepovers. Like it was mostly me and these two other girls. Mostly it was the three of us all the time. And we would like spend the night together and we would smoke cigarettes and do magic rituals that we found like in the Necronomicon or whatever. I mean, we were just in that phase of life. So anyway, it was an interesting time, but I remember the zines were really cool because like I felt like I had something to say back then. We all do. And I remember doing one zine all about the Gillette company and how they would test their products on animals and how they would like, drip their products into the eyes of rabbits and such just to test and see how harmful it might be to humans. And it was terrible. And I just remember what sparked me, and I'm going off track, forgive me, but I have to go there. I started, I can't stop. I just remember this picture in a magazine and it said, "A doomed cat waits its turn to be tested at Gillette." And it was just this picture of a cat just sitting in like this warehouse floor. Um, it was heartbreaking. So I was all about like, I was anti-Gillette. I was protesting Wendy's because the founder, Dave Thomas, was part of the Christian Coalition and, it was anti-gay, which was that was a big deal back in the early 90s to protest that. I remember losing a job because I was gay. Different times. I was kind of an activist, kind of a rebel or revolutionary or just loser. I don't know what I was. But anyway, to make a long story even longer, cut to 20 years later or whatever, and it's 2010. And I'm starting to feel like I'm coming into my own with my powwowing. I still have like remnants and little traces of neo-paganism in there. And you couldn't blame me because at the time I was surrounded by neo-pagans. I was not surrounded by Christian friends at that point, but I was really like really being overcome by Christianity and really felt that that was the way for me to go. That was the right way to go with my powwowing. Um, and it was a turbulent time in my year. 2010 was a really rough year because I walked out, literally got my dog, got my clothes, got my car and drove away from a 14-year relationship. We had bought a home and had everything together and I just walked away from it. Um, not on a whim. There were reasons, but 2010 was a really rough year and I was really feeling like God was speaking to me and I was surrounded by these neo-pagan friends that I was on the verge of losing, but I didn't know it at the time. And I wanted to put something out there about powwow. I felt it was time to make my voice heard. So I wrote something kind of like a zine. This is how I'm connecting to that really long, ridiculous story I told earlier. So in December 2010, I came out with something called Powwow Charms. My last name back then was Chapman. This was before I met Bill. Bill's last name is Phoenix. So when we got married, I changed it to his last name. The book makes a really good fan. So anyway, I made this basically a powwow zine without all the magazine cutouts and poetry, but it was just a simplistic book. Every page had a different charm or ritual that you could do. It had a different powwow spell, it had a different protection technique. Something you do, it said, draw this on the ground, do this. For protection, it was meant to be a working book, because there's even one here like to heal, take this book and literally like touch certain parts of the patient's body. To protect someone, like literally write their name on a piece of paper and put it between two certain pages of this book. I can't find the page right now, but I made it a working booklet. Yeah, here. So you would just like write their name on a piece of paper, put it in here and hold it. That would offer them protection. So very cool book. You can still, you see very much that I was embracing the historically, culturally, religiously accurate tradition of powwow during these years. I was very much embracing Christianity. But I was still leaving room for some neo-paganism, but I had to make that stuff up because it didn't exist anywhere. So I had to make up like some neo-pagan kind of things so they'd be included. But that doesn't exist in history. So anyway, I put it on like Facebook that I was making these and I was selling them. I don't remember, $5, $10. I don't remember what it was. It was 2000. Yeah, it was 2010. So I was literally printing these on the printer, stapling them together. And, I even have like a little watermark you can't really see, but it was pretty clever back then. But I probably sold maybe about 100 of these. It was wild. Everybody wanted one. So this is the only copy I have. I stopped making them after a few months just because it was just too much. It was just like constantly printing, and like we just had all these stacks of like paper in the apartment in Baltimore. This is when I was in Baltimore with Todd. If any of you have known me for a long period of time, you may remember Todd. Um, but we would staple these, put them together, ship them out. Anyway, I really like this idea because there is nothing in here to bog down the reader. This was literally, you pick this up and you find whatever you need to do, and then you just do it. You're not going to get chapters of history. You're not going to get long, boring list of correspondences or, arguments, yay or nay. It's literally just every day, or not every day, every page is just a charm or a ritual. And that's it. There's no like extraneous information, like here, to reduce illness of any type. And there it is. The next page, to protect the home from enemies. That's what you do. The next page, to remove deep pains or infections. There it is. Next one, reduction charm. There it is. Like you just literally take the book and start using it. The book itself is a tool. And if you need something else, it tells you. Here's to reduce the pain of bee stings. Various charms to stop blood. How to make home remedies. It's all just on one page. How to make ointments, oils, and infusions. I just put it down real simple. Beep, beep, beep. One page. All-purpose healing charm. A hex for overcoming your enemies. I kind of was on that cusp back then. Yeah, there's a hex in here for overcoming enemies. So good stuff. The lightning stone, the rite of the Kabbalistic cross for comfort in times of distress, to stop blood using a lightning stone, to protect from all enemies, an anti-storm charm, to remove crossed conditions, various charms to soothe the pain of burns, to ease fears and anxieties. Looking back on this now, I can see where I was like spiritually and mentally, but I also saw like, because this was at the end of 2010, 2011 would be a game changer for my life. I would finally just truly embrace powwow as the Christian tradition. All the quote unquote pagan friends that I had at the time, they all vanished. I learned the true colors of a lot of people in my life at that time. And that set the tone for everything that would come after. And that year, 2011, I changed everything about my life. I started educating myself. I got an apartment down here in Harrisburg. I met Bill. Just changed everything about my life. And I totally threw myself into powwowing in its historically correct version. And, here I am now. So but I really like the simplicity of this. I remember seeing in Baltimore years ago, there was like this voodoo shop, and they sold all these little kind of zines, and it was all like lucky numbers and candle colors to use and such. And while that's not really a part of powwow, I really always liked that idea of a zine. I thought that's something, people could be making these at home and sharing them. And that's what I think powwow kind of was, that back in the early days of Pennsylvania German culture. It was like Holman came out with his long lost friend, and then a couple other people would like publish these small, just like books of powwow remedies, kind of as a response to the long lost friend. And so these things are just like kind of passed around sort of underground, almost like a zine, and I really like that. So that's why I mentioned this before, but I'll mention it again. I am working on 3 booklets. And I call them booklets because they're not quite as small as a zine, but they're certainly not going to be a book. 3 booklets: the white book of blessing, the red book of healing, and the black book of protection. They're going to be like in the spirit of a zine. They're going to be booklets that you can just pick up and just use. I'm going to sell them, just independently publish them. They're going to be super cheap, probably through Amazon or something. The goal isn't to make any money. The goal is just to put the stuff out there and just let people start doing it. Because the idea of like how to do the charms and such is too much of a secret. And I'd rather powwow survive. And powwow is a folk tradition, meaning it's a tradition that belongs to the people. And so that's what I want to do. That's at least going to be my work. So anyway, look for that. I'd hope to have them complete it this month, but June is a very busy month for us. There's a TV show coming on Friday to film an episode with me. Powwowing, obviously. It's also our wedding anniversary month. We'll be married 9 years. We'll be dads for 8 years this month. I'll officially be an accountant for the Commonwealth for 11 years on the 13th. So there's some anniversaries in June, but also this is our busy month too. We're like repairing some like porch steps and like working in the gardens and such. So we're just like really busy this month, but I'm going to try and get them done either this month or hopefully July, because by July it just gets too hot and disgusting in Pennsylvania. It's hot and rainy. It's like kind of our rainy month. And that's when I'm over the whole garden and such. And like I kind of move inward in July and just I'm over summer by then. So I'll really like pound out the work then. So anyway, look forward to that. And yeah, if any of you have heard of zines or did zines or whatever, let me know. Like I would love to talk about it. I wish I still had copies of them. They were fun. It is what it is. So anyway, thanks for listening to me blab about my trip down memory lane. And that's it. God bless you guys.